Hello, and welcome back to another guide slash tier list video. Unfortunately for all you guide truthers, the guide video hardcore flopped, one of my worst performing videos in a very long time. So, we're back to doing this as a tier list. Sorry, but this is just how it's gotta be. I got the game in the background for the music, and if I need to cross-reference anything, which I don't think I will, I might need to go there for the champions. But we'll do this the same way we'll talk about the relics at the end as well. But today we're talking about Lazarus League. Let's just jump right in, shall we? So you'll notice that this tier list categorically is a little different. The main problem is that this clan has no bad cards, really. There's not a bad card in this clan. The worst are some of the cards that have not many uses. So that does just, it's not even really, like, bad, right? It's good, it's good. The clan is very good. Lazarus League is probably the best clan in the game. So let's start talking about why. So we'll begin with Arechi. First, you have to talk about mix, and to talk about mix, you have to understand how the infusions work. I didn't have a good way to showcase these visually, so I'll just talk about them, and you'll have to visualize this in your head, and if you can't, I am sorry. So when you play a card that says mix, you get an interface that pops up, which lets you make a new concoction. There are 4 flavors of concoction. There's red, green, blue, and purple, and you will initially pick, when you play the mix card, one of the 2, and then every card you play, so this infusion card will go in your hand and it'll stay in your hand until it's played. There's no way to get rid of it. It can't be discarded. It doesn't go away at the end of your turn. It can't be consumed. There's no way to get rid of it. It just sits in your hand. It also, for the record, while we're here, it can't be duplicated. It can't be manipulated in any way. While it's in your hand, every subsequent mix will add to this card and it'll keep stacking up infinitely for every time you play a mix. The mix options are, and we'll just go through them from top to bottom. On the red syringe, you'll always, on the first mix, get 4 rage. This is fixed. Then every mix afterwards will show you 2 of the 3 following options. Either rage 4, damage shield 1, or life steal 1. The green will always start you on regen 2, and it will give you either regen 2, spikes 3, or reanimate 1. And reanimate is a Lazarus specific mechanic where when a unit dies, it instead comes back to life at 1 health. But not instead, it dies and then comes back at 1 health. This triggers extinguish, it triggers harvest, it triggers slay, all of that. The blue infusion is starting out at 5 unstable, which is another specific mechanic. If a unit at the end of a round has HP lower than the unstable number, they will explode, dealing damage equal to the unstable number to the whole floor. Or if they die during combat, or if they die for any reason, they will explode and do their damage to the whole floor. So blue gives you 5 unstable, then you have a pick of 5 unstable, 6 frostbite, or 4 damage. And lastly, in the purple infusion, you have, I think it always starts you with sap 1, and then you get sap 1, melee weakness 1, or rooted 1. That was a lot of information. So in short, mixing can give you everything. It can give you an answer to any problem. It gives you defensive scaling, offensive scaling, utility, backline pings. The only thing mixing can't do is give you consistent clears of 50 HP backliners. Everything else though, if you mix enough, you will answer your problems. One of the reasons this clan is so strong is because default Lazarus starts with mix. Exile Lazarus is still strong, but mix is a game-winning card on its own. Stacking reanimate on your units is very good, and that's something you can do with your starting card. So Secret Ingredient is just a very strong starter for this clan. And of course we could just put it right up in the very good. It's probably the best starting card in the game. It's in the running, if not the best. I don't know what I would put higher though. Yeah, mixing is very, very good. Now let's go flip over to the logbook here and let's talk about Arechi because, it's kind of important to talk about the champion. Where is he? There he is. So Arechi has 3 paths. First of all, I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about Arechi. Arechi's really good and you kind of can't pick a bad choice. The only thing to know about Arechi is that Reanimator is not good at killing bosses, so if you have weak looking Relentless, you need to be careful about picking Reanimator. You have to focus in on putting Reanimate on him to win bosses, which, you can fix this being weak by having a good set of mixes, and you'll do that, typically, in your first few fights. But you have Brewmaster, which is a 20/20 with small concoction, medium concoction, and huge concoction. And this is mix once, mix twice, and mix 3 times on a 3 cooldown. This path is fine because it's independent. These other 2 paths require you to play around them in some way. You need to help this Arechi not die, and you need to incant for this one. The Brewmaster Orechi doesn't require any investment, so if you think you aren't going to want to invest in Orechi, you pick this path. It's also probably the strongest starting path at 2020 stats plus small concoction. It's very good to get an extra mix early. It makes you much more stable in the first few fights if you're weak, but you're almost never weak with this clan. Okay, Reanimator. Resolve, gain Reanimate 1, and Unstable 6. The only thing I don't know about this champion path is I don't know if when he resolves, he will explode immediately. So he puts Unstable on himself, and this is a common concept in Lazarus League. You stack Unstable on your own units and then give them Reanimate. This lets them die, but not die, and keep stacking Unstable. This Reanimator path is pretty good. It's like a very consistent way to clear backline. And as he gets higher up, he gets more Reanimate just as a baseline, so he's a little safer. You do have to supplement this path with Reanimate, and if you have a way to ping him off, you can have him dying a few extra times, because at a baseline, he'll die once per turn. If you throw like one Frostbite onto him, he'll start dying twice per turn, which is double the explosions, but you do have to have the Reanimate to support this. Yeah, this path is good. Just make sure you don't die in the early game for it, which again, you probably won't. You need to stack Reanimate on this guy to get out of the early game. One core concept to this clan that I want to talk about now is this path, or in general, you will only ever have one unit that you're stacking Reanimate on. So if you're picking this Reanimator path, this is the guy you're stacking Reanimate on. You never want to try to split it because you will not put enough Reanimate up. It's extremely hard to hit the numbers to split stacking Reanimate on multiple targets. So if you pick this guy, make sure you don't pick someone else who needs to Reanimate as well, or understand that you're going to have to you're not going to be able to invest in him. He's going to have to be self-sufficient, and your other character is going to take all the Reanimate and have to tank for him. Lastly, you have Mad Scientist. Incant, unstable 4 to enemy units, goes up to 8 and 16. He's high HP. He's like a little tank. This path is very fun. You cause like big chain reactions that blow up entire floors. Really cool. Just spam some incants and it's good. One thing I forgot to mention about Mix, which I'll mention now, is that with the Mix starting card, you can play Mix. The infusion is free, so Mix is double incanting effectively. Yeah, this path is cool. I think that it's fun. Make sure you don't die to silence and entropy. That's the only piece of information I have for you. And understand that if your main plan for damage output is this incant path, he's not going to kill them pre-combat, because they don't explode until they die or the end of the combat round. So you will have to tank a round of damage from the enemies if your mainstay plan is Mad Scientist. So real quick now, I'll swap back over here and we will go like this. I think that all three Orechi paths are very good. You can't really go wrong. I think if you want to be technical, you probably put this Orechi path slightly lower, just in terms of how much he contributes. But this is like in a vacuum. In reality, all three Orechis are good at it because you are playing Lazarus League. But I'll, you know, in a vacuum, I think this path is a little weaker on average. Okay, now we'll talk about Baron Grail. Baron Grail gets the Erratic Assistant. And I have two cards here because the Erratic Assistant is two cards. Let me bring this up in the logbook to show you what I mean if you're unfamiliar. So Lazarus League has another mechanic here called Graft. Grafted units have another card effectively attached to them. So this Erratic Assistant is a 0 energy 1 space 0/1 with a 9 attack 0 energy equipment grafted onto it. The cost of the equipment is not included in the unit's cost ever. Don't think about it like that, just think about it as the stats. Don't worry about the equipment, you can think about the equipment as being freely played on the unit. So this is two cards in one. It's a 9/1, or it's a 0/1 with a 9 attack equipment attached to it. And then Baron Grail, and this card is good, by the way. This is very good because of what Exile Lazarus wants to do. Sorry, I am lost. Baron Grail has all three of his abilities, or all three of his paths interacting with this in some way. So at Living Armory, you get Equipped, which means when any unit, or when any equipment is attached to this unit, he gains +8 and he gives +8 to all units on the floor. This scales to 16 and 24. This path is very, 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 very strong. Maybe one of the most powerful paths in the game, just because of how insanely high your damage scales off of this. You are always one click away from winning the game with this path. Yeah, he's really good. And obviously this interacts with the Twisted Assistants, or not the Twisted Assistants, what are they called? Erratic Assistants. He's a little weaker if you are playing Pyre of Dominion. As a result, Baron Grail is more reliant on his starter cards than others. It's not impossible to play Pyre of Dominion because you can still get some assistants later on, but he's a little weaker. In the middle, you have Learning Limb. Learning Limb is Artificer, so when any equipment is attached to an ally of this unit, the attached equipment gains 2, 4, and then 6 at the max level permanently. So this is a permascaling path. I think it's not necessarily weak, but it isn't really all that strong. You get double value out of grafted units, so if you play a grafted unit, when they are played, it counts as them having an equipment attached, so it scales, and then if they die, you get the equipment to your hand, and that card is then able to be replayed, and then it goes up again. So that's cool. However, this path is just a little weaker on average than Living Armory. The only time that I think this is really all that good is if you have two different equipments that you know you want to play and you want them to both scale and you hit them both early, and then in the end of the run you can merge them and then you basically double scaled them. It's okay, but I think generally speaking you pick one of the other two paths with Baron Grail. Maybe you would play this if you started Pyre of Dominion and you didn't get any buffs, right? If you didn't get any assistance, then maybe you pick this because you started with an equipment, right? So it's not entirely useless, but he's not great. Lastly, this Baron Grail path, Devour, he gets this ability. 1 turn cooldown, he sacrifices an assistant and gets 1, 2, or 3 times their attack. This counts the attack on the card just straight up. It doesn't matter if they have an equipment on them or not. So like when he eats an erratic assistant, he gets +9. And then 18, then 27. This guy goes very high on his damage numbers. He gets very, very high, and it's cool. He does want you very much to play some form of multi-strike for him to let him hit all the enemies he needs. There thankfully is some native multi-strike to this clan, but overall I think this character is also fine. Feed him assistance and he will crush. He does need a little bit of help with the number of hits problem though, since he's only doing 1 big hit, but he's fairly tanky to make up for it. Living Armory's biggest flaw is this 10 starting HP is very tough, so you have to pay attention to the fact that you are low on HP. Okay, and that's all I have to say about Baron Grail. Let's go put him in the tier list. I am going to... first of all, Erratic Assistant I think is very good, and I put Scissor Hands in here just so that you could see it. I think that Devour and Living Armory are both very good, and I think that the Artificer path is niche. I do feel like there's not a great reason to play this path on average. But yeah, these champions are extremely good. I don't think there's anything else to say. Okay, let's go on now, and we'll talk about the units next, of course. I'm not going to flip back and forth for this. I don't feel like I need to. You know, it is what it is. You can roughly see what the card is. I'll tell you what they do as well. So starting off here, we got Pincushion. He's a 1 energy, 2 space. I think he's a 12/12 with equipped 3/3 permanently. So whenever you put equipment on this guy, he gains 3/3. This guy, I think you can say, is just an EX default split. Now, what do I mean by this tier? This tier is for units that are better in one half of the clan than the other. I think Pincushion in Exile Lazarus League is really, really good. In default Lazarus League, I think he's kind of whatever. And you can play this unit, and someone told me that they've carried with him by just picking him and then picking every single equipment they could possibly find. I'm skeptical, but, you know, maybe it's viable. I'm going to just say he's not that good. Like, he's probably niche if you are default Lazarus, and he's probably very good. I mean, he is very good if you are Exile. So he goes in the split because he kind of relies on you having access to Scissor Hands, which is very, very good for him. Something to say as well, if you pick this Pincushion or you pick this Baron Grail, all you do for your entire run is pick equipments and you don't think anymore. You pick every equipment you can. These two units actually do really like going together because you will pick all the equipments, you'll put some of them on Baron Grail until you have enough damage to clear the waves, and then you'll permascale Pincushion. And you pick Pincushion typically in this position to be your frontliner. Throw him a Titan Knight and he'll be the best frontliner in the game because you'll have so much starting HP by the time you get to a point where it matters. And if you are Exile Lazarus, but you don't have equipped, you can play Pincushion as your main carry. And obviously, if you don't have equipped, you're playing like secondary Lazarus. In these cases, you can play Pincushion as your main carry, give him multi-strike. He'll end the game in the like mid-hundreds usually, which is not bad. Maybe a little higher or lower, depending on how your luck goes. Meat Hook, 1 energy, ability. He's 1 energy, 2 space. He's a 15/15, I believe. Here, I'll actually go check the logbook for this real quick. I believe he's a 15/15. He's a 25/15. He's a 25/15. It doesn't really matter. He has the ability Hook Hand. On a 2-turn timer cooldown, he gets to move an enemy, or rather it says advance dazed 1. This unit is very, very, very good because on a 2-timer cooldown, you can play this on your floor. You take space and you play this on your floor, and he will permanently daze every floating boss for you because it'll always be back up in time. Alternatively, if you have the leftover materials, you can give him dualism and put him on his top floor alone, and he will permanently daze the floating bosses for you. Putting him on the floor with your units is, I think, a little better, because then he can daze Savagery for you and stop all of Savagery's damage in the Titans as well, which is very nice. But Meat Hook is really good. It's incredible to be able to daze. The advances, whatever, mostly just dazing every boss in the game is very good, though. And he's draw priority, and he's guaranteed. You can't possibly miss him. One of the other problems with daze cards is that you can't miss Meat Hook because he's draw priority. He's very good. Hulking Mass. Hulking Mass is a 2 energy, 3 space, armor 40, and when he's reanimated, he gains 40 armor. So starts at 40 armor. I believe he's a 20-20. Again, I'll go check real quick for you, just to be sure I know the stats. He's a 15-20. With armor 40 and reanimated armor 40. This unit's sort of good. He's a big, beefy frontliner. I think this clan usually has better options than this, but he's fine. He's sort of good. You can put dualism on this guy, and he's probably the best tank in the game, just naturally in terms of survivability. Dualism, and then you have to stack reanimate, though. This is what I was talking about with the Zorechi path, though. If you're playing this guy, you can't put reanimate on anyone else because Hulking Mass needs you to be reanimating him a lot. Not a lot because he has the built-in armor, but he wants you to be the target of your reanimation, I should say. It's not that it's impossible, but you will have to split your reanimates at best. So Hulking Mass is just sort of good. I think in general this clan doesn't really need him. I actually want to talk about Makeshift Golem before I talk about the two guys. Makeshift Golem is basically the same unit. 1 energy, 2 space, 12-12 with armor 12 and extinguish armor 12 to friendly units. This is another reanimate fodder, but he puts armor on your whole floor. I think he's better than Hulking Mass almost entirely because he is smaller, he's cheaper, he's 2 space, he's 1 energy, where Hulking Mass is 2 space or 2 energy, 3 space. And so Makeshift Golem is smaller, cheaper, and he gives armor to everyone. So I prefer him, basically, because he'll armor himself if he has reanimate. Both of them need you to put reanimate on them. Sometimes you will be in an early game position where reanimate numbers are low and you need more than 1 hit of 12 armor, and that's the position where you're picking Hulking Mass instead. But generally speaking, I think both of these units are sort of good, but they're not really the unit I want to be playing. I want to do other things with this clan. I don't want to be playing big, beefy frontliners typically. Okay, next up is Plague Doctor. Plague Doctor is 2 energy, 1 space, 9-9, and on strike she applies unstable to the enemy equal to the damage dealt. Plague Doctor is very good. She's one of the better carries in the game. I do think that one of the things that makes Lazarus League so strong is that they have access to 2 of the best carry units in the game. Plague Doctor, when she strikes, so at a baseline, Plague Doctor needs to do half as much damage as the other units to kill a heavy. As long as you're surviving the round of damage, which you always are because you're Lazarus League, you almost always have something to do to keep yourself alive, right? So at a baseline, to clear a 500 HP heavy, Plague Doctor only has to get to 250. If you have multi-strike on her, now it's only 125. That's very good to begin with. Second, because of how unstable works, when she kills a heavy, that heavy explodes and it does damage to everyone on the floor on the other side of the board. So Plague Doctor also clears all the backline for you. And if you put like quick multi on this unit and get her to 250 attack, she kills everything. Guaranteed. She's, in my opinion, very, very good. Excellent, even. The only thing you have to be worried about, and we'll talk about this with Test Subject Alpha as well, this unit is a 9-9 at the start of the run. So if you pick this at the start of your run, you have Plague Doctor, you go into the second fight, and you're like, haha, the streamer, he said I was so strong, I have Plague Doctor. And then you just get killed by Legion because Legion does not die from 2 hits of 9 and then Plague Doctor is dead. So just be aware. You do want to make sure you're not weak. You can use Mix to keep her alive if you have access to it. Or you can use, any number of other cards, or just give her like a +20 because she does not... You don't have to go super hard on long-term damage output with this unit. Right? You can just give her like a +20 or a large stone and be okay. A very common winning floor that I have played in this clan, which you can hit with decent frequency, is Equipped Baron Grail, Plague Doctor, Pincushion. It's a super consistent way to put Plague Doctor's damage way up high and then just run people over. And they're all common, or uncommon, so you're going to see them pretty frequently. Test Subject Alpha, 2 energy, 2 space, 5-10, quick sweep. Yeah, this unit says quick sweep at a baseline. Everyone knows that this is good. I think Test Subject Alpha is a little overhyped just because this clan does so many good things. So when I say he's a little overhyped, what I mean is that Test Subject Alpha is very, very good. There are people out there who think that Test Subject Alpha is like every single position I'm in, no matter what, I pivot to Test Subject Alpha. That's not what you're supposed to do. If you are already playing Plague Doctor, right? You're already a Plague Doctor with multi-strike. There's no reason to make Test Subject Alpha your next plan. If you've already committed to a different line, I don't think you need to pivot to Test Subject Alpha too frequently unless the plan you've committed to is very bad. But if you see Test Subject Alpha early, he's very, very good because you can just hit him with multi-strike. You can freely give him some HP, but be sure you're aware of the fact that in the early game you are playing a 5-10 sweep, so you need to make sure that you're not going to die in the first few fights. Don't come crying to me when you walk into the second fight with a 5x210 with multi-strike and you go, hey, wait a minute, the boss is killing me. Yeah, man, you gotta do other shit. Thankfully, this clan has a lot of good ways to damage scale. Mostly from its champions, Baron, Grail, and Secret Ingredient. But just be aware, you're not going to win for free with Test Subject Alpha. You do have to do a little bit of playing the game. Am I missing a guy? Let me double check. No, I'm not missing a guy. Okay, just felt like I was missing a guy. Anyway, the uncommons are all very good. I think the only one that is a little weak is Pincushion in default, in default Lazarus League, but that's not even 100% true. He's still decent. Okay, talk about the rares real quick. We got Reforming Ooze, Hydra Armed Horror, and 9 Live Nightmare. Reforming Ooze is a 1 energy, 2 space. Let me go look because I don't actually know his stats off the top. He's a 7/15 at a baseline with Reanimate 1, and when he's reanimated, he gains +6 attack permanently. I do actually think this is an EX default split. The reason that this unit isn't super good in Exile is because you mostly are getting Reanimate from Mix, in my experience. If you have Reanimate, like if you just have a ton of Reanimate in Exile Lazarus League, this unit's very good. But on average, a lot of your Reanimate comes from Secret Ingredient. That being said, when this unit is good, he's incredibly strong. This guy, his scaling is so ridiculous. It goes so high. It's so easy to put up like 20 Reanimate on this dude. So you just put him up there and you watch him go crazy. He'll end your run very frequently in the like 300 to 400s at a baseline. Reforming Ooze is great. Very good rare. Hydra Armed Horror. This is a... I have to look, man. He's a 2 energy, 2 space, 15/15 with Equipped. The equipment is removed and this gains multi-strike 1. Same thing, EX default split, except this guy wants to be in Exile Lazarus League. He kind of needs you to have the equipments. You need a lot of equipments. You can maybe spam, like take every equipment you see and he becomes okay, but I'm a little skeptical of that. Because if you're spending all your time playing equipments, you're not actually giving him any attack to scale up. So it's a little scary for that reason. Lastly, 9 Live Nightmare. This is a, I think 2 energy. Yeah, 2 energy, 1 space, 1/1 with Reanimate 8. I think this unit's kind of niche. I don't hate it. It is just like a big tank with a bunch of Reanimate, and you can dualism to start the game with 16 Reanimate, which is pretty good. There are some things that this is good for. You stack some unstable on this unit through the book, for example. But in general, I don't think there's a lot that you want to do with 9 Live Nightmare that you can't do with any other unit in this game. And I don't know, maybe it's good because it's 2 energy, 1 space, but I am not convinced. Also, I will say, I've only seen 9 Live Nightmare once, so I don't have a strong foundation. If I were to be realistic, I would make an extra tier down here called, like, I don't really know, and I would put 9 Live Nightmare down there, because I just haven't had a lot of time with it. Okay, next up, we'll go into the commons here. We got, starting off with Sanguine Assistant, 1 energy, 1 space, and this is a 0/1 as all the assistants are, but it's attached with Vampire's Tooth, which is 15 attack, so this is a 15/1 with Lifesteal 1 and Resolve Gain Lifesteal 1. So mostly Sanguine Assistant you're playing to put Vampire's Tooth on a unit in the early game, and this is very good. It's very good to be able to put Lifesteal on your units. It makes you much more stable in the early game, makes it very hard to ever die because you're getting 1 Lifesteal per round, and that's great. And it's also an equipment, so if you're playing some sort of equipped plan, it's also good. Vampire's Tooth is great. Sanguine Assistant is great. Very good stuff. The only thing that's kind of sad about this is it's a little expensive, but it's not that expensive. It's only 2 energy total to play this. Twisted Assistant is a 1 energy, 1 space, 0/1 that comes with Twisted Back, a 15 attack equipment that costs 1 energy, and says Trample and Strike gain Rage 2. This unit's also very good. I think that Twisted Back is not super overpowered because it is not always best for you to give up the ability to play a merged equipment to play Trample. But if you don't have anything else to play, Trample is very good, and it's also native scaling with Strike Gain Rage 2. This is good on sweepers, of course. You can play this on Test Subject Alpha, though I do think that Test Subject Alpha prefers scaling from other sources. It is kind of going to depend a lot on what you're actually playing. Okay, you do have to know that. It depends a little bit, right? If your Test Subject Alpha is super safe and you have defensive really covered and you don't need any other equipment, then you just play Twisted Back. If you have like early Bloodthirsty Blade, Twisted Back is not going to make any sense in that position, right? But you won't know if you're going to have Bloodthirsty Blade until you've already taken the Twisted Assistant, because you won't have a chance to see it until Ring 3, so you probably just take this if the other options aren't that good. Overworked Assistant, zero energy, not 1 energy. He's 1 space, he's a 3/9 with Reanimate 1 and Incant gain Unstable 4. With Dualism, this unit can solo carry your run, because you're going to Incant for 8 Unstable, which very, very quickly snowballs out of control. And if you need to, you can have this guy solo tank all the way up to the Titans, and as enemies hit him, he will explode, killing them. He needs a lot of Reanimate though, and because of how Secret Ingredient works, where I did forget one thing about Secret Ingredient, which I need to mention now because it's only become relevant now. When you play a Secret Ingredient, you can't see a syringe of that color again until you've played another one. So like once you use the green syringe, you can't see green for 2 mixes minimum, which means that it's very hard to put consistent Reanimate when you're taking a lot of threat out of it. Secret Ingredient is for stacking like 1 syringe full of 10 Reanimate and letting that win you the boss. It's not really good for, I need to put up 5 Reanimate per turn on my Overworked Assistant. And that's what he needs. In the endgame, he needs 5 Reanimate to carry. So often you'll just put something in front of him to tank, and then you'll scale him up, and then you'll let him Incant Unstable 8 every round on himself until he's up into the 2 to 300s, and then he'll start just blowing up everything, which is good. You can also play 2 of these guys or even 3 of these guys on a floor, and then the rate at which you scale up is much faster. Main problem of this unit is that you can bottom deck him with no counterplay, and that is something you have to look out for. But in general, Overworked Assistant is very good. Next up, It's Alive. 1 energy, advance, apply lifesteal 1, and plus 10 attack. Sorta good. Damage scaling, lifesteal 1, not bad. Main problem is that this comes with advance on it, so you can't damage scale your backline. That is probably fine though on average. Usually you just use this for the lifesteal, and sometimes you're just gonna solo frontline you're just gonna solo floor your carry anyway, and then It's Alive is fine. But on average, I think this card is kind of just sorta good. Forevermore Serum, 1 energy, consume, apply Reanimate 1. Putting Reanimate onto your units is very good. So that's all I have to say. That's it. Potion Kit, 1 energy, 4/8, ability Brew. On a 3-turn cooldown, you get to make a mix. This thing's pretty niche. I actually think Potion Kit's kind of shitty. It's mostly only good because it's a 1 energy equipment, and then you play it in Exile Lazarus League to just throw it on Bear and Grail for the equipped effect, right? In general, you don't really want this for much. The 1 mix effect is not worth the time it takes to draw the Potion Kit. So, yeah, I don't really care about Potion Kit. Pseudoscience, 1 energy, randomly apply either Lifesteal 2, Reanimate 1, or Spikes 6. Sorry, I forgot about this card. I need to add a row below. I did forget 1 card when I was thinking about this, because I was like, there's no cards in Lazarus League that aren't very good. Sorry, I need to make the Pseudoscience tier. I forgot about that. That's Pseudoscience. That goes in the Pseudoscience tier. Can I do it like this? Yeah, Pseudoscience. Fuck this stupid-ass card, man. 1 and 3 to get what you want, which is Reanimate 1. 2 and 3 to get a bunch of trash that you don't care about. The only reason to play Pseudoscience is because the other 2 cards in the pack are actively harmful, and then this is like, well, I may as well pick something here. Because it is better than nothing. Like, it is, if you were playing a position with, like, Lazarus League secondary, right? Then you can be in a position where your other starting card isn't that good and there's not like a ton of value for you out of Erratic Assistant. So you just pick Pseudoscience because, hey, Lifesteal 2 or Reanimate 1 or Spike 6, it's okay. But fuck this card. It's fucked up, man. You're never going to hit this for anything consistent. It's mostly just mediocre in the early game and then useless later. Okay, next up is Explosive Reaction, which is 2 energy, apply unstable 25, and then deal 5 damage. This one's sort of good. It's a little expensive, but it does just nuke floors for you early game, which is strong. And that's fine. You can like ping off a little 5 HP idiot with this and then nuke an entire floor for 25, which is good. You can also give this plus 10 so that it nukes entire floors in the end game. Unstable does pierce through spell shield, so you can use this to like ping a 1/8 silencer if you gave it plus 10, and then it just blows up the whole floor, which is cool. And that's in entropy fights, of course. Yeah, this card's fine. I think that if nothing else is good for you, right, because there are going to be positions where you don't want to take units, like if you already have Twisted Assistant, and then you can just pick Explosive Reaction, because it's better than nothing. And that's it. The commons in this clan are very, very good. The only ones that aren't very good are Potion Kit and Pseudoscience, and Potion Kit still has some use. And yeah, let's go onto the uncommons, shall we? Oh, Spiky Skin got separated from Puffer Flesh. Hold on. There it is. Okay, first up you got Faulty Body. 1 energy, consume, apply Fragile, and spikes 40 to a unit. I think this card is a little better than you may think. Mostly because in this game you are often going to be stacking Reanimate on your frontliner as this clan. And so if you're playing, because like the native frontliners to this clan are getting all of their survivability from dying and giving themselves armor, Faulty Body is just a bunch of free damage on them for 1 energy. I have had a few runs where you get like Spell Chain -1 or Double Stack -1 on Faulty Body, and then if you make a few copies of this, it does go insane with the damage output. But at a baseline, if your tank is just like tanking anyway, you may as well play Faulty Body on them if the other options aren't that good. Okay, next up is Horrify. Horrify, 1 energy, retreat, and apply Dazed 1. It is interesting because I think Horrify is very good, but in practice, the main problem with Horrify is that you're already doing so much broken shit with Lazarus League that doing Dazed 1 to the enemies isn't that important. However, it is a way to turn off the bosses, and that is something that you always need to be on the lookout for. So even if, like, on average, I think this clan is overpowered enough that Horrify doesn't matter, it still matters. And, like, in a vacuum, this card is really, really good. Next up is Reanimation Lab. This is one of the rooms that they get. Reanimation Lab is a 1 energy, and it says friendly units gain +7/+7 on summon and reanimate. I think that the main problem with this is that HP scaling your frontline doesn't matter, as we just talked about, because they're already gaining armor, and that's who's probably going to have reanimate. And you can't consistently have your backline dying for this to scale damage for you. So Reanimation Lab kind of just doesn't fit in anywhere. There's one place that I think this card is actually super overpowered, and that's with Underlegion, because every individual mushroom spawned counts as a summon effect. So every mushroom, instead of being a 3/4, is now a 10/11. That's pretty good. You scale the mushroom numbers up very high with Reanimation Lab, and that's cool. But on average, I think that within the clan itself, Reanimation Lab makes no sense. Maybe you play it with 9 Live Nightmare, but again, like, the scaling rate is so low and so slow that I don't really see what you're doing this for. Okay, next up is Replicator Ray. 3 energy, consume, remove equipment from a friendly unit, and then copy the unit. I think this card is actually just sort of good. In theory, doubling your units sounds really crazy, but by the time you get to a point where you can double your unit, because you do have to have a useless equipment on them, right? And by the time you get to the point where you can double them, you've probably already won the run, in my experience. And in general, unless, like, I don't know what you're playing this for. I think the only thing is maybe to double on a floor with a bunch of AoE damage scaling at a baseline. Because if you're scaling through mixing, there's no reason to play this. I guess you could play it late, right? You could freeze it and then play it late. So, like, there are use cases for it, but I think it's a lot of times more hassle than you actually need it to be. Yeah, because, like, on paper, I think this card's really good, but the reality is, I guess you permafrost it and then you play it after you've scaled your unit up, but you, like, have bad scaling, and there's a point where you've, like, halfway made it to killing heavies, or you kill 1 heavy, and then Replicator Ray gives you a second hit. Yeah, I think it's fine. I just think that on average you don't need it. And that's probably because within the clan you're playing Plague Doctor or Test Subject Alpha, neither of which need to be replicated. Okay, Puffer Flesh. Puffer Flesh is 1 energy. He's a 0/1, of course, and he's 1 space because he's an assistant, and he comes with Spiky Skin, which is 1 energy, plus 10 HP, Revenge, gains spikes 3. This card's pretty niche. It is the same as Potion Kit. The only time you're ever playing Puffer Flesh is to get the equipment to throw at a unit who cares about equipped. And Pufferflesh is one of the worst ways to do this just because you have to pay the energy twice to get the equipment, and you have to pay the space, and sometimes he doesn't even die because he's 11 HP. The equipment itself, Revenge Gain Spikes 3, you could potentially play on like a Giga Tank in a run where you have infinite reanimate but no damage scaling for some reason, but I highly doubt you're going to find yourself in that position very often. But if you are in a position with super low damage, you could maybe fix your Relentless with Spiky Skin, and that's kind of cool. Okay, Surgical Strike, 1 energy, piercing, deal 4 damage, and on Slay, add a copy of this card with Ephemeral to your hand. This is sort of good. It's like somewhere between sort of good and niche. I think it's sort of good. Nah, you know what? This is niche. Nah, I'm gonna go sort of good. I think you could go either way. The main use case for Surgical Strike is that you use this with a -1 to proc reanimate a bunch of times. Because if you have a unit who is on 1 HP with reanimate, you can Surgical Strike and it'll count as a Slay. That's cool. I don't think there's a lot else to do with this. You can use it to ping off backliners, kind of, but you're not often going to get enough to kill like 35 or 50 HP backliners off a Surgical Strike, right? So it's not super good into Seraph. You need a better plan than this typically. But mostly what you'll do with this is you'll use this because you go, oh, well, I put like 30 reanimate on my Reforming Ooze, but then I win Relentless too fast. Boom, Surgical Strike. Now, the reality is you're going to win anyway in most cases where that's viable, but it's still sort of good. I think the actual main use case is to proc multiple hits off of Overworked Assistant before combat. Okay, Organ Harvester. And I did do these just like this. What I've realized lately, by the way, is that a lot of times I don't even go to the arm shops for specific equipments. I find these more often in the banner packs, or in the card packs these days. So I'm doing it this way as a result. Organ Harvester is a 1 energy, 10 attack equipment with Slay, gain reanimate 1, which is very good. The only thing about this is that Plague Doctor can't play this because Plague Doctor does not get credit for slays that happen from her unstable explosion. But if you put this on Test Subject Alpha and then damage scale him, he's immortal. He will put up like 40 reanimate, he'll kill everything. It's a nice way to insulate yourself against dying on a unit who is often a little fragile. I think Organ Harvester is very good. Just know that you can't use it on like Overworked Assistant or on Plague Doctor because they are not getting Slay triggers. Acid Shower, 1 energy, apply Unstable 10, and then deal 1 damage to enemy units. This card's sort of good. It's fine to do a little AoE damage and a little AoE Unstable. Not a lot to say. If there's nothing better for you to pick, it's fine. Insatiable Hunger, 1 energy, friendly units get lifesteal 2. Same thing, sort of good. I think this card might even be niche just because you often don't need it, but I think it'll go in sort of good. If you really need lifesteal, if you have like a huge survivability problem, this card is fine. It's not bad ever, right? It's always fine. That's all I can really say. Mixology. Mixology's 2 energy to mix twice. Also just sort of good. If you are default, it's a little bit better, but the main problem with Mixology, and I should have actually mentioned this when I was talking about this Orechi path, you don't get to play out the syringe after you played this, right? So if you have no syringe, you'll play Mixology and you'll mix twice, and it'll just be like, here's a pick of like green or red, and then the next one is always going to be just another stack on top. The problem with this is that you typically go into mixing with something in mind, right? I want red, I want rage here, or I want green, I want reanimate here. So Mixology can just not show you what you want. Typically for this to be good, you need to have had a secret ingredient already, and then this needs to be stacking on top. So Exile Lazarus League just doesn't really care for this, in my opinion, because you're not mixing very much with them. However, in default, if you're mixing a lot, you can slap this in pretty easily. I am not giving this the EX default split treatment just because I think that sometimes... you know what? No, this is EX default split. But just know that it's not like a superposition between very good and useless. It's more like a superposition between like niche and sort of good. That's my take anyway. Next up, Risky Operation. 1 energy, reduce a friendly unit to 1 HP, and then give it plus 10 attack and lifesteal 2. I think this card's pretty much fine. I am not thrilled. I'm not like, oh man, Risky Operation, GG, because plus 10 attack is not really that much in the grand scheme of things, but it is some damage scaling. There's a very cool combo with this plus the Savagery event, which is the one where you get to take 1 of 3 upgrades, and the upgrade that this goes really well with is for every 2 missing, or for every 1 missing HP is plus 2 attack, I believe. that combos with Risky Operation because then you make your swing with your full HP bar missing and then heal it all back. That's super cool. Otherwise, you know, this card's just fine. It's life steals plus 10 attack. If you have no other damage scaling in the mid game, this card is okay. Okay, Weaponized Prosthetic is our final uncommon, and this is also the only card that I have not mastered. This is 1 energy, remove equipment from a unit, and apply plus 30 attack. I think this card is kind of just meaningless. Very rarely are you in a position where you are playing a bunch of equipment and you have enough of them that you can be playing Weaponized Prosthetic. Because a lot of times there's going to be an equipment that you're looking for, and when you reach it, it is the answer to your run, right? And so you'll often even do that in deployable, which is counterintuitive with Weaponized Prosthetic. However, sometimes it's maybe good. I don't know. Maybe I just haven't seen the position for it. Overall, I think that the uncommons in this clan, though, you'll notice only 2 of them went into the very good tier. I think most of them are just kind of like, but you know, sometimes they're good. Up next, we'll go into the rares real quick. I want to do, we could just do it in the order they're in. Start with Brain Transfer then. Brain Transfer is 2 energy to sacrifice, and you transfer the attack and buff and debuff effects from one unit to the other. How does this work? Well, it goes from the front unit, or it goes to the front unit. Now this is transfer, so you can't use this to then like put like 10 reanimate on a unit and then just keep doubling with Brain Transfer. This it moves them from one to the other, so your unit is just dying for free if you're playing it on a unit with reanimate who's in the front. I think this card is pretty niche. I don't really feel like it ever does anything meaningful. There is a setup that I know in Lazarus, who is active in mine and Cranberry's communities. He broke the integer cap with this card with like endless on a unit, and then you can just kind of keep doubling. I don't think that that's something that you're ever really going to do, but it's cool if you can do it, for sure. But I think the reality of this card is that it's very, very much just like, I don't know, what are you doing with this, right? What are you transferring? And the other problem is the unit you're transferring into has to be at the front of the floor, which means that you're transferring typically you're transferring like damage into Plague Doctor or Test Subject Alpha, right? But you won't be able to transfer into them because you won't have a tank then, and they're kind of fragile. So like, I don't know. I think Brain Transfer is just kind of not that good. Next up, Combustion Suit, 1 energy, 10/10, strike, apply unstable 5 to enemy units. That is fine. The effect is cool. It's like for every strike you put 5 unstable on all enemies, and then you can cause a little chain reaction explosion. 10/10 is not bad for stats, 1 energy is cool. This card's fine. You have Double-Edged Bear, who is the last assistant. He's the rare assistant. He's 1 energy, 1 space, 0/1, of course. And he has Double-Edged Arms, which is a 1 energy equipment, which gives 10 attack and multi-strike 1. I do think this unit is just sort of good. Mainly, the only case for this is to put equipments onto your champions. And in that position, it's very good, right? But if you don't have a champion who wants Double-Edged Arms, then there's no reason to play this. That's my take, because ideally you're getting multi-strike from another source, and if you aren't, it's just a little tough. But because you can't merge this, I think you're making yourself weaker. But if you absolutely have to have multi-strike, you missed it from every other source, and you don't have an equipment that you have in mind to play, then you play Double-Edged Arms, and I think that's okay. Next up, Electricity Chamber, 1 energy, friendly units gain 8 spikes on summon and reanimate. This one's also niche. I think that primarily this is for like a Giga tank, right? And then you play Electricity Chamber on the floor with them, and they scale a bunch of spikes, and that's cool. I think that that's fine, but it's not really something you're ever going to do in this clan, because that time could be better spent in other places. Same thing with the mushroom stack, though. You can play this on the mushrooms to give them a bunch of spikes, which is kind of cool. Next up is Minds of Their Own. Minds of Their Own is 3 energy, equip friendly units, attack immediately. It's sort of good. I think that oftentimes if you have quick on your units, then this doesn't do anything. Most of the time, what you're going to be playing is some sort of unit that's hyper-scaled with quick, and that unit doesn't need Minds of Their Own because they're already going to kill for free. You can use this to like get a free hit in on the boss, but this clan doesn't really care about that, to be honest. Okay, next up is Scrap for Parts. 1 energy, consume sacrifice, draw a unit, apply plus 40 attack, and 0 energy. Now, this is sacrificing a unit to draw another unit with a buff on them. I think this card is like niche. But this niche doesn't necessarily mean bad, by the way. It just means that there's a weird situation for them to be good. Scrap for Parts is mostly for taking a train steward and then turning it into a non-draw priority unit, right? You use this kill train steward to draw overworked assistant or to draw a moon pixie, right? And that's cool. It's absolutely fine to do that. The only real problem with this is that if you're playing this card, you do have to remove every other assistant from the deck, and I do think this clan takes a lot of them. So, like, obviously you can't play this with Erratic Assistant very well. But it's okay if you aren't Erratic Assistant and you don't have any other assistants in the deck, you can just use this to pull a specific card. Usually it's going to be like, I haven't done this by the way, so I don't have like a usually for you, but I imagine it's Overworked Assistant or it's Moon Pixie. Okay, final two, Spike of the League, X, Consume, apply 1x, Reanimate. Yeah, this card's very, very good. It is extremely good to put up Reanimate, and being able to turn all of your energy into Reanimate is also good. You can also remove Consume and then -2 gain Consume. You can double stack. Both of those are good. Spike of the League, very good. Lastly, Tome of Horrors, 3 energy, Consume, apply Unstable 50, and Reanimate 1. Also very good. This card can basically solo win you the run if you go with double stack on it, or if you go with remove Consume, -2 gain Consume, also fine. You just load this thing up and then you make a bunch of it and you put up a lot of Reanimate. Typically, Tome of Horrors is comboing with Overworked Assistant to get his Reanimate numbers up quite high. Or sorry, his unstable numbers up quite high. You can also play it on the Reanimator or Retchi for good value, and you can play it on 9 Live Nightmare. Also, if you have a lot of Reanimate output, you can just throw this on your frontliner. Perfectly fine. If you're playing like big scaled up hulking mask and he has a bunch of Reanimate on him, you can just throw Tome of Horrors. He'll tank everything with the armor and then he'll explode and kill everyone. Pretty good. So yeah, that's the end of this section. Like I said, I was going to go through this pretty quickly. The only thing I didn't mention that I think is worth mentioning is that this clan, especially with Plague Doctor, has a little trouble with killing the Titans. You will have longer, harder Titan fights with this clan because your damage, especially from Plague Doctor, is coming from unstable, and the Titans don't die to unstable until 2 of them are on 1 HP. Even if they are all under the threshold, they will only die, as far as I'm aware, they will only die until 2 of them are on 1 HP. Then the third one can explode. So sometimes it'll take a while, but basically it doesn't matter. Lazarus League is very, very good. Okay. Let's finish up here. I will switch us back over to Monster Train and we will go take a look at the relics really quick, of which I think Lazarus League has a little bit of variance. So you start with Advanced Growth. When an equipped unit dies, permanently add +4 attack to their equipment. Mostly this is good with Reanimate because they're considered dying when they are reanimating, so you put your carry equipment onto a unit with a bunch of Reanimate and they scale the equipment for you, which is nice. It's definitely something where you pick this, you play it as like a mainline idea, you throw your equipment on, or you throw your equipment you want to scale on a unit, and you scale up through the mid game, and then in the end game you're just done with it. And the end game is fight 7, 8, 9. Okay, next up is Catalyzing Agent. At the end of the turn, unstable increases by 5. It's very whatever. You can play this with any path where you are putting unstable on yourself, but usually Catalyzing Agent on enemies is meaningless. It's okay in the early to mid game, but it is pretty much useless at the end of the run. Contingency Plan. Monstrosities enter with spikes 7, and if you are unaware, that is these guys. Spike 7 for Monstrosities is not bad, right? Hulking Mass and Makeshift Golem. It's a little better early. Of course, it falls off late, but it's fine in the early game if you have one of those guys. Frenzy Stesia. The first time each turn a friendly unit is equipped, gain 1 energy. This is fine if you are Exile, because when you play an assistant, it'll count as them being equipped. However, typically with Exile, since your cards are free anyway, you don't really need this, right? Because your assistants are free, so you're probably not going to worry about your energy too much. So I find this doesn't get a lot of play. Especially, does this work in deployment? If this works in deployment, it might actually be a little better than I think. I assume it does, so maybe this is a little better than I think. Here are the Hybrid. Equipping a friendly unit under half health applies armor 10, otherwise it applies rage 5. Fine if you're spamming equipments because rage 5 scaling is fine, and if you aren't, then it's not that good. Inga's Beaker. Increase the number of choices when mixing by 1. This is if you are trying to play some sort of mixed build of any description, this is extremely, extremely important because it means that you always get what you want when you mix, because there are 3 sub choices. So if you're playing for green and you want reanimate, this turns mix from 66% to 100% to hit reanimate, which is really, really good. Very, very, very strong if you're mixing. And if you're not mixing, useless. If you're a secondary Lazarus or Exile Lazarus, you don't care about this at all. Life Ensure, friendly units gain armor 14 on reviving with reanimate. Kind of meaningless because the 2 units who are frontlining in this clan are already gaining armor when they're reviving with reanimate. So I don't really know what the point of this is. I don't think I've ever taken this. Nefarious Overflow. Unstable explosions deal twice as much damage. Good if you are Plague Doctor or any other unstable character, and useless if you aren't. Still though, like, really good if you have any source of unstable. Even just a little bit of unstable likes this a lot. Part Factory. On deployment phase, add a random graft unit to your hand. This is pretty good, I would say. But you have to have the energy left over, so if you are spending all of your energy in deployment, which you will find yourself doing some of the time with this clan because their units are fairly expensive. If we go in here, right, you're looking at 2 energy for Plague Doctor, 2 energy for Test Subject Alpha. If you are looking at that, and just so you're clear, here's all your assistants. Except for, I don't think it can give Plague Doctor. I'm pretty sure it can't give Plague Doctor. This can't give Plague Doctor, can it? Right, sorry, it says Graft, not Assistant. Yeah. So it actually gives these. I don't know why I read that as assistants. Anyway, it gives you one of these. There's a lot of variance to this, so it's not thrilling for that, but if you don't have any, like if you have 1 energy left over, it is fine to take a shot at getting Twisted Assistant or Double-Edged Bearer at the start of the round. Because it is just a net positive to have these on someone, almost always. The odds are someone on your floor has an open equipment slot, and then this is fine. But if you don't have the energy to play this, it is clouding your deck for no reason. Progress Pacemaker, the first time you mix each turn, mix again. If you're mixing, this is good. If you aren't mixing, this is not good. The end. It's very, very good, though, if you are mixing. But I don't think I need to give you any more insight than that. Lastly, Surgeon Suture. Equipping a friendly unit restores them to full health. In my opinion, the only character in this game who cares about this is Pincushion. I don't think many other characters in this game care about Surgeon Suture, but it's good with Pincushion, because you just get to heal him to full, and he's going to have a lot of HP to heal. Maybe it's like okay in the early game with your Exile because you can just keep you can just like spend 1 of your assistants to heal your guys to full, which is kind of nice, but I don't know. Also useless if you're default, I'm sure. But with assistant starter, it's probably fine. And yeah, that'll do it. So why is Lazarus League so strong? Let me answer this question now, because if you look at the tier list, right? If you look at my little tier list, what makes this clan so strong? It's basically these units, right? It's basically Plague Doctor, Test Subject Alpha, but it's also their champion, right? It can't be understated how good both of these champions are. Their starting cards are also very good, and they have decent scaling plans through mix and through, like, well, a decent scaling plan of Rage through mix, or a ridiculous scaling plan through Armory, Baron Grail, just passing on infinite damage output. You also have access to the assistants who lock your early game down very nicely, and then you have access to Reanimate and Unstable, which are both very strong mechanics. So if you struggle with this clan, first of all, just pick these units, and second of all, try to be a little more, I don't know, like mix more? I don't know exactly what to say. I don't know who's out there struggling with Lazarus League. Ask if you have trouble with this clan, ask me specific questions in the comments, and I'll try to get back to you on them. Or go in the Discord and at me. There's a link in the description for that. Anyway, thanks for watching. I don't know if I'm going to do the Hellhorn stuff. I kind of, like, I don't know if I'm going to do the Monster Train 1 clans, I should say. I'll see how I feel going forward. I'll tell you how I feel in like a day or two. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave me a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good one.